coming my way, but thanks again.
Let's go to the first question about foreign policy.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. I am very eager to get the answer for this question, but first of all, let me say good evening to everyone here, the representative and the dignitaries who join us, and all ladies and gentlemen tonight. The first question that we have tonight, America has been leading world for a century in terms of economy, world security, and politics. In terms of promoting freedom to every corner of the world, now some people are concerned that we might be losing that positive influence in the international community. How can we maintain or improve this leadership in the world?
Okay, now let's hear the answer from Mr. Buckley first.
I think starting with 9/11, people around the world were very sympathetic to the cause of the United States. And up until that time, the United States was truly perceived around the world as just a good country, the leading country in the world, the only superpower. And then along came Afghanistan. I don't think that changed. People thought mainly the Taliban was part of the problem, and I think the world accepted the military action that was taken with respect to the Taliban. I personally thought it was the right thing to do. But then came Iraq, and personally I sensed right off the bat this was a deception. And that's the main reason I got into politics, that and the financial problems of our country. I knew from everything I had learned before the build-up to the Iraqi invasion that it was based on deception, and nothing has ever swayed me from that belief. Since that time, people around the world have lost a lot of respect for the United States. In fact, I think it's sad that a lot of the population bought into the deception and didn't question our leaders more. People like Saxby and Chambliss. If I had been in the United States Senate at that time, I would have been digging everywhere possible to try to find the truth and to report the truth to the public. Because that war has ruined our reputation around the world. It's made fighting terrorism a lot more difficult. It has cost the lives of in excess of 150,000 people. It is, according to Joseph Stiglitz, Nobel Prize-winning economist, will cost the average household more than $30,000 before it's all through. It'll make our terrorism problem. It's made our terrorism problems worse. It's made our financial problems worse. And throughout the night, I'll talk about our financial problems. So I think what we need to do is basically retract from our current position of trying to be the world's policeman. We have over 700 military bases in 130 countries. We are a quasi-empire. History shows that the Roman Empire, the British Empire, empires don't last. We need to eliminate most of those bases. I say, eliminate most of them, bring the troops home, let them spend their money in local communities, Columbus, Warner Robins, Savannah, and let's stop being the world's police. Let's be the world's strongest military power, and stop being the world's policeman. Thank you.
And before we go further, if there's anyone who has not turned off the cell phone yet, please turn off the cell phone. Even though that sounds like really cool, really focus and concentrate. So let's hear the answer from Mr. Thomas about this issue.
A great question. In my mind, and obviously coming from the campaign side, I think the way we will reestablish our position in the world is by sending the right person to the White House. Obviously, for me, that person is John McCain. He comes to the table with the experience, with the background, with the leadership abilities, and with the understanding of the foreign policy issues that are facing this country to deal with them, to deal with the situation in Iraq, to deal with it responsibly so that we're not just cutting and running and leaving a country over there in shambles and not defending and protecting the people that we're there for. He will handle that and do the right thing, and he's got the leadership and background to do that. Barack Obama, in my opinion, does not have the experience necessary to do that. When he's talked about sitting down at the table and talking with some of these leaders without any preconditions on a meeting, I think that's irresponsible. John McCain's got the background and the leadership abilities to deal with that situation and put us back in the right place where we need to be in the eyes of the world.
president's job also, this is still by a lot of senators also. So if you got elected as a senator, what will be your top priority in terms of this leadership issue? Just to comment first.
From an international standpoint, Saxby's #1 priority will continue to be to look out for the security interests of this country. As we saw on 9/11 when we were attacked, it was a horrible day for America, it was a horrible day for the world. Saxby wakes up every day thinking about how can he make this country safer. He serves on the Senate Intelligence Committee, which sees all of the briefings that come about who is out there trying to destroy this country and the people that live here. That is Saxby's #1 priority, is making sure that we are safe and secure. Obviously, a big part of that is making sure that our military is taken care of and that it remains the top military force in the world. But also through diplomacy and working with our friends around the world who are partners in this battle and in the struggle against terrorism. Saxby's been to Iraq 6 times. He takes it very seriously, and he is engaged at all levels on that front.
Mr. Buckley, please.
One of the primary roles of the federal government is to protect the people, and I would take that responsibility very seriously if elected. But we have to look at the big picture, and as we go on through the night, I think I'll explain to you that our country has grave financial problems that you're probably not familiar with, but by the end of the night you'll be familiar with them, I can promise you. We spend more than the rest of the world combined on our military, and for a country with tremendous economic problems, as I will show you, that's really crazy. I think we can cut military spending by 1/3. Again, eliminate most of those foreign bases, keep a number of them, but eliminate most of them. Still have the strongest military in the world, which I think we need to have. Let's face it, terrorism, real pure terrorism, we fight mainly with intelligence, with James Bond type people. And when you do something like what happened in Iraq, you cut off the flow of intelligence because you cut off a lot of people who were friends with you, they become enemies to you. So we need to realize that terrorism is mainly fought through intelligence.
Okay. Let's go to the next question, which is also foreign policy, which is about international relationships. Will be asked by Lam NGO.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Long Tan Ngo. I am the president of the Vietnamese American community of Georgia. The question is, with the current globalization, we are facing a huge challenge in the relationship with other countries. What do you think are the top 3 countries that we need to focus on in terms of political, economical, and security concerns?
Mr. Townsend first.
I would be hesitant to name 3 countries on Saxby's behalf without specifically asking him for that. That's such a critical question. There are obviously
some countries that would come to mind immediately, but I should not be saying what the top 3 countries are on behalf of Saxby. That would be beyond what I'm supposed to do. Not trying to dodge the question, but I can't say that on behalf of the U.S. Senator. I'm sorry.
If not 3, then can you name the country that we need to focus on behalf of Senator Chambliss?
Well, obviously we need to focus on China and Russia and the other global superpowers as we look at partnering with them in areas of economic development and in national security. We need to do that. That's obvious. But all of the countries around the world are important, and just because one is not an economic or a military superpower doesn't mean they can be overlooked. So, but China and Russia would be 2 of the obvious ones that a lot of attention will be spent on.
Mr. Buckley, please.
I'm reading a book right now by an Indian fellow by the name of Kareem Zakaria called Post-American World, and I highly recommend it. He's a very smart guy. I think he's an economic writer for one of the major financial magazines, and it's not The Economist, because I get that, but it's, I can't remember which one it is, but in any event, I'd recommend the book. He traces the history of the world in a lot of respects, and the recent development of China and India and the United States, and compares the history of the United States to the Roman Empire, and particularly the British Empire. And from his book, you know, he has a pretty good vision of where things are headed. If you look at China, I'm sure you've noticed they're really focusing on their economic development, and they're not putting a lot of money into their military, but they're trying to build the largest economy in the world. And Zakaria points out wisely that he who has the strongest